Imagine this. You finally sit down. You close your eyes, set the timer for 5 minutes, and tell yourself, just be still. But what happens next isn't peace. It's a rebellion. Your mind, suddenly faced with nothing to consume, nothing to react to, becomes a ferocious storm. An invisible current of anxiety pulls you toward your phone. A sudden, urgent thought screams, you forgot to reply to that email. You get an irresistible urge to check the time. 5 minutes of silence feels longer, more challenging than 5 hours of hard work. And you ask yourself, why can't I just be silent? Why does my own brain refuse to be still? This video is not about giving you another list of meditation tips. This is about confronting the truth. Your inability to be still is not a personal failure. It is the calculated, psychological consequence of living in a stimulation economy, a world specifically engineered to make silence feel unbearable. We have been conditioned. Our neural pathways have been rewired by constant input, turning baseline reality into a source of profound boredom. If you can reclaim your 5 minutes of silence, you can reclaim your mind. If you cannot, you will forever remain a passenger in your own life, driven by the algorithms designed to fragment your attention. Let's begin the journey to understand the terrifying price of constant noise and how to fight back. Part 1. The Neuroscience of Noise and the Dopamine Trap. To understand why your mind recoils from stillness, we must look at the physical changes that the digital age has wrought upon your brain. The central player in this drama is dopamine, the neurotransmitter responsible for motivation, reward, and seeking behavior. In the natural world, dopamine was released in reasonable, sustainable bursts. When you found food, when you achieved a goal after sustained effort. But our modern environment is an all-you-can-eat buffet of artificial dopamine hits. Every notification, every like, every scroll through a short video feed is a small, concentrated dose. This overexposure creates a fatal flaw. It raises your dopamine baseline. When your baseline is artificially high, your brain quickly adapts. Everything below that baseline feels dull. Your mind interprets stillness as a lack of reward, triggering the anxiety that pushes you back toward the screen. The silence isn't painful. The absence of artificial stimulation is. This brings us to a phenomenon known as attention residue. When you switch from one task, like deep work, to another, checking a text, your attention doesn't fully follow. A residue of your focus remains stuck on the previous task. In the modern world, we are constantly task switching. Our minds are perpetually layered with these residues, a lingering memory of the last tweet, the last email, the next urgent deadline. When you try to meditate or sit still, you are attempting to force a clean slate on a mind that is full of mental clutter. The silence simply amplifies the noise of the residue. The brain, seeking to clear the mess, starts frantically running through all the unfinished loops, creating the anxiety we mistake for boredom. The silence isn't the problem. It's the uncomfortable confrontation with your own fragmentation. Finally, consider the default mode network, DMN. This is the part of your brain that activates when you are not focused on a specific task, when you are daydreaming, reflecting, or simply letting your mind wander. Historically, the DMN was the birthplace of creativity and self-reflection. But in the modern mind, the DMN has been hijacked. Instead of generating creative ideas, it now runs scenarios of anxiety, fear, and social comparison. We have conditioned our minds so thoroughly that when we finally step away from external stimulation, our internal reality is immediately flooded with worry and self-criticism. The moment of stillness becomes a terrifying mental space because the modern DMN is less of a creative sanctuary and more of an anxiety generator. This is the truth. Your brain refuses to be silent because it has been programmed to fear its own default state. Part 2. The philosophical prediction. Solitude is the ultimate foe. The struggle against stillness is not new. What is new is the technology that makes the escape instantaneous. For centuries, the greatest thinkers understood that humanity's deepest fear was not of suffering, but of boredom and self-confrontation. The 17th century philosopher Blaise Pascal offered one of the most prophetic statements on human nature. All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. Why? Because the silence forces you to face your existential reality, your mortality, your mistakes, and the question of your life's meaning. We seek distraction, what Pascal called divertissement, because it is a mechanism for self-deception. It keeps us moving, reacting, and consuming, so we never have to pause long enough to ask, am I living the life I truly want? If you are perpetually busy, you can postpone that terrifying question forever. The digital age simply provided the perfect infinite tool for divertissement. This leads us to the crucial distinction that the digital world has erased: loneliness versus solitude. Loneliness is the pain of being alone. It is an external condition caused by the absence of others. Solitude is the glory of being alone. It is an internal choice made for the purpose of self-discovery and reflection. The modern environment weaponizes loneliness. It constantly reminds you of what you are missing out on, driving you back to social media for validation. This fear keeps you compliant and consuming. But it is the voluntary act of solitude that the system truly fears. Solitude is a rebellion because it is the birthplace of original thought. The moment you begin to think for yourself, outside the curated narrative of the masses. A mind accustomed to solitude is a mind that cannot be easily controlled. The philosopher Aldous Huxley, in his dystopian novel Brave New World, warned that the future of tyranny would not be through force, like in Orwell's 1984, but through pleasure and distraction. People would be controlled by loving their servitude. When entertainment becomes the primary tool of control, truth becomes irrelevant because no one cares enough to seek it. When you cannot sit still for 5 minutes, you are confirming Huxley's prediction. You are proving that your mind prefers the comfortable cage of distraction over the challenging, revolutionary freedom of self-reflection. Part 3. Reclaiming Inner Space and the Art of Productive Boredom. The good news is that just as your brain was conditioned for distraction, it can be reconditioned for focus and stillness. The revolution begins not with grand gestures, but with tiny acts of mental discipline. The first step is to redefine your relationship with boredom. In our society, boredom is seen as a negative state, a sign of failure. But psychologically, boredom is a signal. It is the gap between the consumption you were doing and the consumption you are craving. That gap is where awareness is born. Embrace productive boredom. When you feel that restless urge to check your phone or find a new stimulus, stop. Acknowledge the feeling without judgment and view it as your brain finally clearing its cache. This is the exact moment when the DMN transitions from the anxiety generator to the creative sanctuary. Instead of fighting the emptiness, allow it to lead you to a question or an idea rather than a distraction. We need to build monastic moments into our daily lives. These are zones of intentional non-consumption. Start small. 1. The 60-second challenge. When waiting in line or before starting your car, close your eyes and commit to 60 seconds of silent breath. No phone, no music. This is a microdose of solitude that resets your attention span. 2. The tech-free zone. Designate one room, for example, the bedroom or dining table, as a place where technology is not allowed. This physically reinforces the boundary between consumption and existence. 3. The digital Sabbath. Dedicate a specific time, for example, Saturday morning, where you intentionally disconnect from all screens. Use this time for activities that require sustained, singular attention. Reading a long book, playing a musical instrument, or working with your hands. The act of journaling is also a powerful tool for achieving stillness. The mind struggles with silence because it is overloaded with internal dialogue, the to-do lists, the emotional loops, the self-criticism. Writing these thoughts down is a process of externalizing the noise. It transfers the mental burden from your cognitive space to the physical page, freeing up your working memory and making true silence attainable. Don't write about what you did. Write about what you are thinking and feeling. The ultimate importance of reclaiming your stillness is this. The ability to be quiet is the ultimate measure of your freedom in the digital age. If your attention is constantly fragmented, you are not truly free. You are predictable. You are controllable. The most profound ideas, the deepest moral convictions, and the capacity for true empathy are born in the quiet spaces of the mind. When you lose access to silence, you lose access to your true self. You become a mass man, a reflection of the collective noise, unable to discern your own voice from the manufactured outrage and trends. The fight against the 5-minute meditation is the microcosm of a larger war, the war for consciousness. And the war is won not by consuming more information, but by creating more depth, the depth that only stillness can provide. The dumbest generation is not one that lacks access to information. It is one that confuses data with truth and noise with meaning. Your final choice is simple. yet revolutionary? Will you continue to surrender your mind to the endless cycle of distraction? Or will you accept the challenge of silence? Will you choose the comfort of the crowd or the difficult, sovereign freedom of your own thoughts? The moment you choose to see clearly, to seek meaning, to live with awareness, the illusion begins to crumble. Thank you for watching. I challenge you to try this right now. Close your phone, close your computer, and sit in silence for just 5 minutes. Do not fight the thoughts. Simply observe them. After you finish your 5 minutes of stillness, come back to the comments below and share what you felt, what you realized, or what urgent thought tried to pull you away. Your shared experience will become a map for those starting their own journey toward reclaiming their mind. If this video has challenged or enlightened you, please comment your biggest takeaway, like the video, and subscribe for more deep thinking content. Until next time, be still and be free.